He does a lot of the ones for cops and stuff, but he's also done military ones because he was in the military.
It wouldn't be elaborate.
We're recording.
I just don't have the artist
Let me
that
see
way.
if I can get a picture
All right.
without being too.
So,
We gotta wait for the mayor to open the meeting.
we're recording right now.
I wonder
Yeah, we're recording. I just want to let you know we were recording.
You're just so excited to start.
All right, so it's 2:06. We'll go ahead and start this workshop. If you'll call the roll, Val, please.
Commissioner Snow?
Here.
Commissioner Curry?
I am here.
Commissioner Delanoy?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Mayor Penny?
Here, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Brian. The floor is yours, sir.
All right, thank you. So, the purpose of this workshop is to consider evaluation and appraisal changes to our comprehensive plan. What that basically means is that according to Florida statutes 163.3191, at least every 7 years, local governments are required to evaluate and appraise their land use and comprehensive plan. And that's to see if any plan amendments are necessary to reflect changes in state requirements since the last update of our comprehensive plan, and to notify the land agency, which is the Department of Commerce now, of any changes that we need to make. Our comprehensive plan was last done in 2010. That's when we last had any major overhaul that went to the State Land Planning Agency. We had another one done in 2017 where we sent them a letter and determined that no changes were made, because from 2010 to 2017, that was 7 years, we had to let them know of any major changes that needed to be made. There were none at that time that needed to be made. Now we are in 2025, and so we are required in 2024, they notified me, your 7 years are due, we need to know if you're going to be making changes. So I notified them at the time that we would be making changes. From the time that they're notified that we would be making changes to the time that we need to submit those changes is a year. So we are coming up on that time period that those changes need to be submitted to them. That was on August 29th of 2024 that I let them know. And so those changes are due really at the end of this month, but I did notify them that they would be getting them in October, and they were okay with that. We did complete our review of the comprehensive plan relative to changes in state law since the adoption of our last year. And so what I would like to do is just kind of go over with you chapter by chapter. We have 10 chapters, a quick overview of what has changed or what we have done. Since 2017, we were keeping up with any state mandated changes. The most important two that we needed to make sure in our comp plan were the peril of flood amendments, which we did, and the property rights element, which was a new element, and we did that. So most of the changes that you're going to see are changes that have to do with getting rid of old terms, updating maps, getting rid of some policies that don't apply anymore, adding some policies that you may want to consider adding to the comprehensive plan, but nothing that is there because it was deficient in terms of meeting state requirements. This is an overall cleanup and update of our comprehensive plan. So it's in underline and strike through form, and what I will do is I'll go through the underline and strike through form, but I will also open up a completed and clean version so that you are able to.
These chairs and what about this one?
No, thanks.
We're able to compare. Okay, there we go. So just starting off, the opening pages of the comprehensive plan are stricken through because we've updated those. The table of contents has been stricken through because that has also been updated. In Chapter 1, our future land use element, we did some minor house cleanings, some text amendments, including but not limited to changes in our planning horizon. State law requires that now we plan out to 2045. We've eliminated some outdated language and code references, and those are reflected, for example, here, 9J 5 of the Florida Administrative Code no longer exists. Maps that are no longer numbered as such have been removed. What you see stricken are items that have either they no longer apply, or, for example, this map is no longer at the end of the chapter. It's been moved.
So Brian, is this document that's going to be sent to the state, is this a staff report of changes that the commission has made to the comprehensive plan in the past?
No.
So does this body have any input into this document, or is this strictly a staff representation of what staff wants to see in the comprehensive plan?
This is a representation of what staff feels needs to be updated or changed, and then it will go to, it is here for you to look at and provide your input. You have the ability to change anything that you feel needs to be changed or question anything that needs to be changed. If you are okay with it as such, it will go to the Board of Planning and Appeals the first Monday in October. Then you will see it again for it will be first reading, but also at first reading, I will be requesting your permission to transmit it to the state. Once it's transmitted to the state, they have a period of time to review it. I think it's 60 days, and then come back with any questions or comments that they feel are necessary, or things that they feel have been addressed or have not been addressed or need to be clarified. Once things are cleared up with the state, it will come back to you to consider those changes that have been made and for final adoption.
In some jurisdictions, the commissions may go through each one of these chapters one by one in great detail. We're for the most part a pretty well built out community. The number of changes, I went through these with Brian about a week or two ago. The number of changes that Brian's recommending are not significant. They're important, but they're not significant in terms of the magnitude of the change that's being put in there. So if you read this, and again, if you look at the strike through and underline version, you can see what the changes are. And if you see anything in there that you have questions about, we can certainly try to answer them. And if anything is as important that needs to be changed from what Brian's done, we can try to do that when we get the response back from the state, and just see where that lines up. We're really kind of under a time crunch to get this thing sent off. So it is a document that you have to approve, that you have to have input on, and anything that you see in there that you think needs to be changed, we'll certainly take a look at. Now, a lot of other agencies would have hired a third-party consultant to come in here and do the update, but Brian was able to do this on his own. We did spend some money on the update, but not to the degree of sending it out for a $100,000 consultant to do.
But correct me if I'm wrong, if a project came to this city 3 years from now that no one had ever thought of, we always have the ability to change the future land use in the comprehensive plan. It's just a process.
Yeah, this is the 7-year update, so it doesn't mean that you can't do a comp plan change in the future. That still exists.
Right. The 7-year update simply says that at a minimum of every 7 years, you have to review your comp plan and basically update it. And you specifically have to update it if there are changes that the state has adopted during those 7 years that you have not included in your comprehensive plan. So there aren't any state requirements that have happened in those 7 years that were not done. However, there is information that needed to be clarified and that we needed to provide more detail on, and I will go through that with you.
I got a question.
Sure.
I don't know if this is good. I'm just wanting to know so I can get a focus on what, because I'm kind of not new with this. As far as like what happened over here on Flemish Avenue with the RV park, not that I'm trying to be negative about anything, but would that have been something that we could have had it zoned differently? Is that part of this, like comprehensively projection of what we have in our land use? Does that have anything to do with this? I mean, could that have been zoned differently where that we could have put some sort of,
So you're
I don't know,
looking
if
at
you own it, you got the right to do what you want with it.
We did a
so-
comp plan amendment to allow for that.
Right.
Yeah,
It wasn't allowed under the old comp plan.
it wasn't.
No, so we did
So
a comp.
that came before the commission and was recognized to go ahead.
It went
forward.
before the Board of Planning and Appeals, and then came before the commission to allow for that use.
Keep in mind, this is not a document that's addressing things such as setback, stormwater requirements,
Not
permitted
zoning.
uses, all of that. Those are all land development issues. The comprehensive plan is a general document that looks at, right now, it's looking at 2 time periods. The state requires 2 time periods, 10 years out, 2035 and 2045. All right? And it basically says, where do you want to be in those 2 time periods, okay? And then you're kind of giving yourself a guideline or a roadmap as to where the city wants to concentrate its development, where it wants to see maybe a change in the type of development, and those are the things that are addressed in the comp plan, along with making sure that we have the ability to serve whatever changes are going to occur in that time period. So for example, if we look at our population now, and we determined that between now and 2045, our population was going to grow by 15,000 people, we have to look at everything in our city in terms of our utilities, water, sewer, our parks, our roads, our levels of service, and plan how we're going to be able to accommodate that growth. So if you project out and say, we're going to have an increase of 20,000 people, and yet when we look at our water treatment plant, we don't have within our capital improvements the plan to be able to serve, we're at 12,000 now, or 13,000 now, so an additional 20, and I'm not saying it's 20,000, it's an example. We'd be at 33,000 people. In 2045, do we have on paper at least some conceptual plan, something fleshed out as to how we're going to be able to accommodate the water needs, the sewer needs, even with our parks? We're required, there's a level of service for parks. It says so many thousand people, you have to have so many acres of public open space. So that's what this document looks at, the long-term plans and how we're going to accomplish our growth and those types of things. All right. So you see some general strike-throughs. I won't read everything. I'm just going to hit the highlights. Now, perhaps one of the biggest changes in the future land use element is I've added information that provides more detail on what types of development can be done under each land use. So for example, the blue is what we have now. Low density residential development.
And can you just hit the plus sign up there? There you go.
Time for new glasses for
Doing
you.
that for you, Mayor. All right, the low density residential development, the number of dwelling units shall not exceed 6 per net acre, exclusive of streets, utility, drainage, rights of way, and other non-residential land areas. So this is what's proposed. Low-density residential LDR. This designation is characterized by detached single-family dwelling units, site-built or modular, and both agricultural and conservation land uses. A maximum density of 6 dwelling units per net acre shall be permitted, and it says net acreage is gross acreage exclusive of streets, utility, drainage easements, or rights-of-way, and stormwater management systems such as retention ponds and existing
So a
body of
much
water.
better description.
Right, because what I've done is I've looked at over the years, been here 8 years now, what types of things have we had to discuss with people? What kinds of details have we had to reiterate or look at? And so now is an opportunity to get this stuff on paper so that when the public looks at it, they have a clearer idea of what they're able to do and what things mean. Now, in our land development regulations, we have, under our special exception, the ability to do some commercial development in our residential land uses. Okay, for example, many of our residential land uses allow churches. Many of our residential land uses allow congregate homes and things like that. Those are buildings. And so you can't measure their intensity by dwelling units per acre. Okay, intensity for commercial type items is measured in floor area ratio. How much square footage of commercial are you able to put on that property? So what I've done is I've assigned a floor area ratio for permitted institutional uses, like churches, so that if you have an acre of land and you say, we're allowed to do six homes per acre, and the average, let's say, size of a home is 2,000 square feet, well, that's 12,000 square feet of development. So you might have, depending on the size of the homes, if it's built out, anywhere between 10,000 and maybe 14 or 15,000 if some people have a larger house. You're looking in the area, general area of maybe 15,000 square feet max on that acre under low-density residential, which allows 6 dwelling units an acre. But what happens if someone comes along and wants to do a church, and they say, I want our church to be 50,000 square feet? We don't have anything that says you can't do that. As long as they can accommodate their parking and their setbacks, they can do a church that's 50,000 square feet. So now you have a 50,000 square foot structure, commercial structure, on residential property, which if you kept it to the general or the average size of homes, would only have about 15,000 square feet. So that's why we have assigned a floor area ratio, which is in keeping with the other general commercial types of properties. The same was done here with medium density residential, but we allowed 0.35, and also with medium density residential 0.35, and these are for commercial type buildings on residential property. Under the high intensity residential, we basically moved this from its location where it's with the residential categories, and that's why it's red, only to indicate that it is being moved. Under general commercial, there had been a mistake where much of the general commercial, for example, from here down, was accidentally placed in our mixed-use category. And it didn't belong in our mixed-use category because it clearly says to encourage mixed-use development, commercial and office development within the general commercial land use category. So that was taken out of the mixed use and added to the general commercial, and in general, the general commercial was also moved. Just another example, industrial development, the ratio of building floor area to total site shall not exceed 1.95. That's been changed to, this designation allows for schools, public uses, churches, government facilities, hospitals, floor area ratio shall not exceed 1.95. This land use category can also include areas of the city which will be used for public utilities such as water and wastewater treatment plants, water tanks, and power stations, and transit.
Brian, it's 1.95 of what?
1.95 basically means that, let's say you have an acre of property, you can have 1.9, so that, you have an acre of property, it's 43,560 square feet. So if you take that, 43,560 square feet, and you multiply that by 1.95, that's going to give you almost double. That's the square footage that you can put on that property. It's a representation of how much square footage can you put on that property. So just a simple example, you have a property and it's 10,000 square feet, and you have a floor area ratio of 2. You can put 20,000 square feet of commercial property on that 10,000 square foot.
But that
Like,
assumes you're going up,
You're going vertical.
yeah.
Exactly.
but it doesn't designate how much of the footprint you can cover.
Well, you still have to accommodate your setbacks and your
Okay.
parking, so it may mean that you're
Okay.
gonna go to 4 floors.
Okay, all right.
But it's a measure of intensity on that property, because if it was a floor area ratio of 1 on a 10,000 square foot property, you could do a 10,000 square foot building.
Is there anything that restricts the height, the floors?
Yes, that's in our zoning code.
30.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't take away all the other criteria, parking, the
Right.
stormwater, the landscaping, the open space
It
criteria.
made more sense to me when you're in the residential area. So I wasn't getting the 1.95. I got it now. Thank you.
Sure. Residential base mixed use, we just made it all caps. Under no circumstances shall the sum of all bonuses awarded to a project exceed 20 dwelling units per acre. Just say density bonuses shall not exceed 20 dwelling units an acre. Just simplified it. Another, I guess you could call it a big change, is you had 2 categories here. You had mixed use 2 and you had mixed use 3. Mixed use 2 and mixed use 3 got very confusing, and they were so similar that it didn't make sense to have 2 separate categories. So they've been combined into one category called general mixed use. The only difference between one and the other is that one of them allowed industrial. So under mixed use 2, general commercial, limited, we go here, light industrial. So mixed use 3 allowed light industrial. Everything else in terms of use was the same. There were some differences with regard to how many units an acre, slight differences, but under the general mixed use, the units per acre allowed have been modified in such a way that the 2 properties that we have in the city that actually have a mixed use future land use, they're compliant. We're not making them legal non-conforming, they are still totally conforming.
Which properties are they?
That is the Marina Grand and the Zen Living, 3rd and US 1. So this is going to have minimal impact because those are the only 2 properties. They're both compliant even with this change, but it consolidates everything into one use. High density residential, again, that was moved up here, right there. That's why it's underlined and stricken through. We moved the matrix to another section. This has been updated and moved.
Now, when he says updated and moved, you'll see it in the final document.
Right. Example. Oh, here. Copy, so you had the matrix.
Like in one spot, it talks about maps, and all the maps were moved to a separate section.
And there it is. So what I did is I took all of the maps, all of the charts, which were in each chapter, and pulled them out of each chapter and put them all in one category toward the end of the chapter, so that people are not flipping through chapters to see all of the maps and charts. They simply go to the end of the comp plan, and they're all categorized in their own category, but all in one place.
That map you just slid by, is that, keep going, back up, yep, no, keep going. Right there, is that, what is that one doing? Is that,
That's our future land use map.
okay, yeah. So is that telling us residential and commercial?
Yes.
So the red is the commercial?
Red is commercial.
Anything not yellow has some commercial element to it. You got industrial use, you have commercial, you have mixed use, you've got single family, was that?
Except for the green.
Except for the green.
Golf course.
Yep.
So
So,
those red, that's Flemish, those little red spots right there, that, I guess that's Rousey's and the store on the corner center.
yeah, they're,
Pretty good, JD.
So
yeah,
the UB is not included in that, then, as far as
No,
commercial?
but it's a
it's a
church.
church.
So that's not considered commercial?
No, that would be an
I
institutional.
misunderstood then what you were saying a little while ago.
Well, that was a change. That's part of, that was an update.
That's part of your, that's part of
Yes.
your new change.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'll come back to this and go through this with you. But I just wanted to show you that when it says that a map has been updated and moved, this is where it is.
So if somebody wants to come in and put commercial, can you go back to that just for a second? I don't want to get off on the tangent somewhere, but I'm just curious. So the yellow is our residential. So can somebody come in and want to put a commercial there and just, but they have to come before us and ask, right?
They would have to
It's not
come,
something they can't just because they own it and they say, look, I own this, I want to put this here. It has to be,
no, if it's residential, they can't just put commercial.
yes.
The only thing that they can do that might be considered commercial is if under that residential land use, there's a special exception that allows, for example, a church or a group home or something of that nature. And that's why we put in a floor area ratio to kind of have some control over how much of that they're able to put on residential property. Okay? But yes, they have a right to come to you and ask you to rezone it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All right?
Yeah, like that red dot there.
Oh, sorry.
I
know
think
where you
that's, I think that's the automotive place on 8th Street.
Yeah, probably. Well, that's on their own corner.
It's on the wrong corner.
Oh, that's that strip that,
Oh, that's right, yeah, that's that strip.
yeah,
on
that
7th Street.
big strip.
Okay.
Barber shop.
But typically, if somebody's gonna try to rezone a residential property, it's gotta fit.
Right.
You can't just plop it in the middle. And probably the closest thing that we did recently is when we allowed that, it was the B zoning for that windshield place on Center. and-
Oh, that's it, Walker.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably an example of where we allowed some commercial to encroach in, because they consider that to be, what do they call it?
Spot zoning.
No, business resident,
What about the
Oh,
junk?
neighborhood.
The junk,
Yeah, neighborhood.
the junkyards aren't considered commercial? though?
they've been there long before these comp plans were
Before they
placed.
say they're not,
And a junkyard wouldn't be a commercial designation. It would be considered heavy industrial under today's standards. Yeah.
But they were there long before we even had our first comp plan.
yeah.
So those are the major changes with regard to our future land use categories. Now, I wanted to do retail, okay. Objective 1.14. This is related to policies regarding the preservation of hardwood hammock vegetation on city-owned property and properties of 10 acres and more. This, I'm proposing that we eliminate it. It doesn't really serve a purpose, and in trying to clean up the document, my thought is, let's get everything out of there that doesn't really belong or that's not feasible. So I'm proposing that this be eliminated.
So Brian, something I see coming in the next 20 years would be a neighborhood of tiny homes. Is that addressed in our zoning? Or does it need to be addressed in this plan?
Ideally, something like that. Well, so when we get to our housing element, one of the things within the housing element says that we will look for every opportunity to provide housing for our citizens, that we will look also for unique ways to provide that housing. So you could, under the idea of unique ways or different ways of providing housing, you could say that the comprehensive plan covers the idea. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to put that in the comprehensive plan. It's just that if you put that in the comprehensive plan now, you're stating that right now, that is a policy of yours that you are going to encourage. So unless you're sure that that's something, the road that you want to go down, I would wait until you get more information about tiny homes, see what cities are doing it. I can tell you DeLand is doing right now a tiny home development. And they're working out a lot of kinks. So I wouldn't recommend putting it in right now, but yes, in the future, if you decide that that's really what
I'm
you
just
want to
thinking
do,
with
I would.
housing not being affordable housing.
And I tell you what, in the 7 months Forrest and I have been camping, and most of the campgrounds in this area have some sort of section with tiny homes. And there's some nice ones. I mean,
yeah.
when you think tiny homes,
But those are inside parks.
yeah.
So my concern when it comes to tiny homes is you create an acre or two of a tiny home community that it becomes nothing more than one of these hotels that we have. And we don't want that. So you don't want to create a low-income housing rental that turns out to be no different than these motels we have on US 1.
Is there
No, absolutely not, but there are quite, I mean, I know a
There's
lot of
some wonderful-
seniors that are starting to go towards the tiny home because it's cheaper to maintain, it's cheaper to buy.
I'll go one different. You know, these container homes are very popular.
Right.
Yeah, those are getting popular.
So there are alternative to the typical brick and mortar and stick-built homes. But, you know, I'm not one to be on the bleeding edge of some of these things because I don't know what the unintended consequences are.
Right.
So we have to wait and see.
Yeah, the ones in DeLand are starting at $250,000
Right.
per tiny home.
Oh my God.
So if you wanna open up an area in the city where you have tiny homes that are all starting at $250 on up, that may,
Wow.
you know, that's,
That's a different view
That's a
of
different
tiny
thing.
homes,
Right.
definitely.
Are
I
they
wasn't even
multi-level
thinking
or
of
just one
that.
level?
I think some of them are multi-level. They're small, you know?
They end up, it almost looks like a bunk bed
Yeah.
inside, you know.
But they don't have like several levels for the whole.
I think a lot of them have like lofts.
Yeah, not on the tiny homes, on the container homes, they have
Container homes,
multi-level that
stack
are
'em.
huge.
Containers. is
Yeah,
just-
I've seen the tiny homes where they have
Ryan,
like lofts
is there a
upstairs.
restriction on the size of build on residential? Like, does it have to be a certain amount of
We
square
have a
feet?
minimum right now.
Minimum of, what's the minimum?
650?
750 square feet.
That's as small as it can be built.
It's the smallest.
A container for 250 grand.
But Mayor, I think you're right that it may be in the future.
Well, I've had inquiries about container homes and container construction, and I've told people to ask me, we don't have that in our
Right.
codes at the present
We
time.
can't stop somebody from putting in a container home if it meets all the building standards.
Yeah.
That we can't stop, and we've met with a couple people who are interested in container homes. Now, container homes, that's a building standard.
Right.
Again, it meets all the requirements of a building, you can do that. Now, when it comes to tiny homes, that's where you have restrictions on within our code, within the size and where it can be located. But if somebody came in and said, I want to build a container office space, and, you know, we've seen examples of some very nice container buildings.
Yeah.
They can do that as long as it meets the building requirement.
Right, but going back to the tiny homes, there's a rental tiny home community on either Clyde Morris or Williamson. These tiny little houses, they're all by each other. And, you know, if we embrace the tiny home community, our neighborhood, I don't think it would be the same as these flea bag motels. Because the rent in those places, if you rented them, is gonna be at least $2,000 a month. Instead of,
You know, I'd be willing to have a
900.
workshop on it.
well, time is of the essence. We can't spitball this thing and get it in here and get it approved. But I just think,
Now, you could always do
Yeah,
a
I
comp
can
plan
amend this.
amendment
Yeah.
if somebody comes to town. But again, we don't have enough acreage available for somebody to bring in a tiny home community. Now, we can have somebody build tiny homes, but
right.
it's not going to be a community that's, you know, what do we have left as far as open acreage?
Well, I'm just thinking infill. I should say, not all, most of the residential lots we have in our city are non-conforming. My house couldn't be built where it is right now because it doesn't comply with any rule. But if I had that 65-foot lot, I could put a tiny house on it. And maybe there's more like that. So maybe I'm thinking of a bigger problem that's not really a problem yet, but I'm just trying to think, we're changing this thing, we might as well change it now instead of coming back later. If we had it in our comp plan, we might encourage some infill, because we're built out. The only way we're gonna get more taxable value is to squeeze things into little spaces.
We can, I mean, doing this doesn't mean that we can't come back in a month and add something to our comprehensive plan.
Okay.
Yeah, you still have the option to do that. I would encourage you to kind of have more of an idea of how you want to do it and what kind of rules you might want.
The framework for it.
Right, because remember, part of what goes on with tiny homes are smaller lots.
Right.
And right now, our code only allows lots that I think the smallest that we're allowed is 5,000 square feet, and some of these tiny home lots are much smaller
It would
than that.
definitely have to be worked.
So it's kind of something that, it's
We
not just
have-
changing
We
it
have a
here
few lots around that are unbuildable, right? Because I know of a couple myself.
due to their
I
size.
looked at,
yeah.
thought that I could do something with, and I couldn't because it was too small to build there.
All right.
But anyway, yeah. get on.
Thanks, Brian. I didn't mean
Sure.
to sidetrack you there.
No, that was a good thought. The next thing, in terms of a change, has to do, well, let me see. This is policy 2.11. Just 1.1. Okay, so this language with regard to the concurrency management system was eliminated because in speaking with Public Works, we don't really, and Public Works are the ones that really manage a concurrency management system. A concurrency management system is where part of it is where you have all of your standards with regard to your roads, levels of service, and your water, your sewer, how much can be provided. And whenever a development comes in, you go to that system and you will look at what they want to do and then compare it to the level of service and then do an analysis to see if what they're doing is going to affect the levels of service. So I'll give you an example. You have a road, that road has a lot of traffic on it. Someone comes in and they say, I want to build a 300 lot subdivision. And then we go and in our concurrency management system, we look at the level of service, we look at how many cars are on the road, and we say, okay, this development is going to generate this much traffic, And then when we add that traffic, or how much is likely to be put on that road, let's say it drops the level of service or the performance of that road from a C to a D in terms of how that road performs, because now you're dumping more traffic on it, we would say, no, you can't do your subdivision because you're affecting the level of service. Okay? We don't have a system where we do that. We have a system where that's looked at, and that's through doing a traffic impact analysis. Then the county may look at it, but we don't really have a system in place where we track all of that. And so I think it'd be better not to have it in there, so we're not asked for it one day. So that's my thought, and I talked to Public Works, and they told me, no, we don't have that type of a system right now.
Do we have anything in place, like if somebody wants to build something that, and we can say, well, if you're gonna do that, you're going to improve this road?
Yes,
We have that in place?
yes, we do.
What if
Yes.
they wanted a smaller development, like 300, drop down to 200?
They could, yes, under a concurrency management system, they could make, so they have different choices. One, they can make their development less intense, or they can agree to make improvements.
So it's not like
To the
they
road.
find the property and can't use it, right?
Correct. Yes. All right. The next thing is, there are policies here, policies 3.2.5 through 3.2.8. These all concern historic landmarks and preservation, and historic preservation. For example, the city shall create historic preservation ordinances that protect historic landmarks by 2011. I don't know if that's been done. I don't think it has. I don't think we have specific ordinances in place that speak to a historic preservation or require it. The city shall review and amend its land development regulations as necessary to implement the historic preservation ordinance by 2012. I know we don't have that. The city shall designate a historic preservation overlay district by 2012. Typically, these overlay districts are done in places where you have a lot of historic areas that are in the same area. And you create an overlay, something that protects that whole area. It's actually defined by a legal description. We don't have areas like that. We do have a smattering of historic buildings and places that are considered historic, like the Coy House, but that's one house. There's nothing else around him. We do have some historic areas, but nothing where we've had to create an overlay. Unless,
I seem to recall that sometime in the past, we did pass an ordinance. I don't know if it was a courtesy or whatnot, but before a historic identified building was demolished, that we would let the Historic Preservation Society know so that they could inspect and remove anything they deemed of historic value. And
Yes.
I don't know if that was a policy or an ordinance or,
I think I remember that too, John.
It's an ordinance.
so I don't know. I mean, I guess we have it, so taking this out I don't think harms it, but we wouldn't be removing what we already have.
no, this just says that you will have done something by 2011, and that you would implement it by 2012.
So that needs to be stricken because that's
Right.
20 years ago anyway.
That you have an overlay, and then it would says that we would create a local landmark list by 2013 and engage the Historic Society to identify and designate. We've done.
Okay.
And I have updated that. I did get an updated list from the Historic Society, and that is in the updated comp plan, which you will see.
Okay, all right.
All right. Here, I just made reference to the fact that we did update our CRA in 2025. Just wanted that to be in there because this didn't make reference to it. So that's really all that changed. I did change. We don't have a Holly Hill Chamber of Commerce, so I just changed it to the local Chamber of Commerce. And then our inventory of existing land uses. That has been stricken because this gave an inventory of our existing land uses as of 2010.
Wow.
And I don't think we've accomplished this same information, but in an updated format through our charts. And there are updated charts, and I'll show you those. Maps and charts, those have all been moved out of this section and moved to their own section. So all of these have been updated. All of these maps and charts were outdated since 2010, and they've all now been updated. All right. So that brings us to our transportation circulation element. And in this one, we did some minor updates to the terms and dates as well. We do have, and I'll show you, there's a new page in the transportation element that basically describes why it is important. So what I'll do is I'm going to go here. Purpose of the transportation element. So each element now, I put in why that element, and this is new, why the element is important. So when people are looking at it, they understand why this element is there and how it's to be used. So that's what it refers to when I say that a page has been added. Policy 1.14 has been eliminated. The city shall coordinate with the Volusia Metropolitan Planning Organization, which no longer exists, Volusia County, and Ormond Beach to designate Riverside Drive as a constrained facility and shall maintain the current operating condition. The measure of maintained operating condition shall be a peak hour increase in traffic of no more than 5% or a decrease in average travel speed of 1 mile per hour. So this typically is something that involves other jurisdictions in declaring a road a constrained facility. You will see also in the comprehensive plans of those jurisdictions, and I did not see it in the Ormond Beach comp plan or Volusia County's. And again, this organization, which is now the Volusia Flagler Metropolitan Planning Organization, does not have information on declaring Riverside Drive a constrained facility. So not having really any information about it, and the fact that that road, obviously, the plan is for it to remain a two-lane road, and it's a city-owned road or the part of it that's in our city. We're not going to increase it. So this is something that I'm proposing that we take out.
Is Riverside Drive, is that city owned?
Yeah.
It is city owned.
I think this is old, and this is probably when we
Thanks
didn't own
to
it.
Jim McCroskey, it's now city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Dr. Will Wingo drove this up in 2010.
Bless you.
Thank you. He did what?
Huh?
What happened?
I think Dr. Will Wingo drew up a lot of this in 2010.
Oh, I don't know.
No, the Riverside Drive thing was McCroskey.
Well, no, McCroskey did, but this
she
report
drew
was
up a lot of
done
the document, but I don't.
7 years ago.
We hadn't got that away from the county back then. We did that when McCroskey was here, I remember.
Right, yeah, McCroskey had the road paved and then took it over.
Right.
But I don't know when this document was, when that change was put in there.
It was done in 2010, it started, the old document started in 2010.
Is Daytona
Yeah, that-
Avenue city owned too?
That's when Olel, yeah, that's
Yeah.
Olel.
Is Daytona
Yeah.
what?
Daytona
He was
Avenue
here
city
most of the
owned?
year in 2010.
Yeah.
Is LPGA city owned all the way through?
No.
That's
County.
That's county to Riverside. All the way up.
And Riverside used to be owned by
I
the
think,
county.
yeah, I think all over the
And we
river.
took it
All the way
over.
to the river?
So, I don't,
That's the only county road in the city now.
Flomish, is it?
Cala Grande used to be,
Yeah.
but that's now a city road too.
We own that all the way to Dover?
We don't own
Just
Arches.
partial of
We
it.
don't own Arches.
Yeah, no, we all the way
You
to,
think we don't own the arches?
all the way to Nova, with the exception of the arches, the right of way that
Turns
the
into
arches
golf.
are in.
Turns into golf after it goes around the corner.
It stops there? Like all,
It goes Cala Grande down
Turns
to
into
go down the
golf.
corner and goes to golf and up to Nova.
so the golf
Prosecute
is
was just
county?
so kind-hearted to accept all that stuff. Such a wonderful guy.
So my suggestion is, since the city is not coordinating with the TPO, Volusia County, and Ormond Beach to designate Riverside Drive as a constrained facility, that we get rid of it. This is a proposed new policy. It's an idea of mine, and it can easily be removed. This is not a state requirement. This is Brian's idea. The city will analyze the pros and cons of designating the entire city as a transportation concurrency exception area and further explore ways to facilitate urban infill and redevelopment by providing and implementing strategies for mobility, urban design, mixed uses, and network connectivity. So what this basically means,
That's totally non-committal. We will analyze the pros and cons.
yeah, because there's a lot to it. It just puts in there that we are being progressive in the sense that,
Don't ask me.
I need a sweater.
can we turn up the,
Do not touch.
Oh, I like it.
Not too much.
you have one in your office?
No.
He's
It is cold.
yeah.
70 degrees.
I don't know what's the matter with you.
I think they feel good.
What's her name? Becky has a heater that I gave her. If you want, we could get it put it here. All right.
Oh, then I'd have to contend with it, suffer.
Hold up to the table.
So basically, now, and like I said, this is a proposal. We can definitely firm this up. If you want to make it a requirement, we can do that. For example, the city of South Daytona, it is a requirement. Their entire city has been designated a transportation concurrency exception area.
And what does that mean?
Okay, so when you have your city and you're looking to develop the city, you have to go by rules of transportation concurrency. Transportation concurrency has to do with, let me see something, let's see if I can just do this.
Don't we now refer that to the county and do the transportation study?
That's on a project-by-project basis. So what transportation concurrency says is that you have to, when you're developing your city, you have to go by all of the accepted guidelines with regard to levels of service. So what it would do is, if you had development that was going to come in and degrade your level of service, it could affect your project to the extent that you have to either make it less intense or not be able to do it. What this says is, instead of following the levels of service, we want to, what we want to do. Oh.
That was,
yeah.
that was yesterday. The names have not been released.
Okay. So what it does is it says, we have adopted other types of mobility alternatives instead of just going by levels of service. So yes, it may drop our level of service, but we're not going by levels of service. We're looking at other types of mobility. So that's it in a nutshell, but I want to do this. Transport.
Joe, I think Brian deserves a raise.
We'll see about that.
We'll see. God, I can't imagine tackling this.
So transportation concurrency is a planning principle that ensures transportation infrastructure can accommodate new development without degrading service levels. So if you are exempt from transportation concurrency, you don't have to necessarily consider whether or not you are degrading your service levels. That's not going to be the determining factor in whether or not you can do the development, because you're going to be looking at other types of development. Types of development such as public transportation, other modes of traffic like bicycling, or they even have, there are certain types of transportation or non-transportation concurrency policies that we would not be looking into, but those might be, an example would be if you are taking, you get on the expressway and you get on the fast route, the express lane, the fees on the express lane change according to how much traffic is on the road. So if you're on I-4 and you're clogged and you get off on the expressway, you're going to pay a higher fee at that particular time than you would pay if you got on it and it wasn't busy at all. Those are mobility fees and different ways of looking at dealing with transportation impacts. So what this is just saying is, because we're a built-out city, we are going to look at getting alternatives to following transportation concurrency regulations. So at this point, I just put it in there as kind of something that says, hey, we're looking at this, but not making us committed to doing it. Now, if you're interested in committing to do it, I can check, and I can put by 2028 or by 2030 or by 2035. But it makes sense. You'll find that smaller built-out cities are doing that.
So if someone came in and bought the RV, the 25-acre RV park, and put in changes the use, they want to put in 5,000 apartments there. So now we're going to have 8,000 people moving there. That's going to be a traffic problem on that road.
Right.
And if we went by our current standards, we could not allow that unless they four-lane that road or something, correct?
Exactly. That's exactly what
So-
transportation concurrency would require.
So this would allow us to work with the developer and say, listen, you put in a four-lane road and now we'll let you do it?
Or figure out some other ways of being able to deal with that traffic. Maybe putting in a bus stop. Maybe figuring out, maybe working on things that say, okay, part of it has got to be senior housing, which is going to reduce the amount of cars, and they're going to get around through public transportation. Requiring public transportation to stop there in more, for example, you would work maybe with Votran to say, we want to stop here, and instead of doing your standard, 8 stops a day, we need you to do 16 stops a day. And the developer is going to reimburse you through some
So this just
contractual
allows us to be
arrangement.
more creative. Because we're built out, we have to be more creative to
Exactly.
That's a good tool, right?
Exactly.
I think that's
It's
good.
cool to have.
And that's why I say,
Yeah, it's something you have in your
just
arsenal.
putting it doesn't commit you,
Yeah.
but it just says, hey, as a city, we're looking at this. Again, remember, this is a guide for the future.
Yeah.
The state is not as, you need to know that the state, a lot of this stuff that we did up until recently was kind of just more pie in the sky stuff. The state with their eating away at home rule is becoming is giving a lot more scrutiny to our policies and what we're doing, and a lot more pushback. So I'm just thinking it might be a good idea to get that in there. That's what I would recommend, leaving it in there. But I can pull it out.
I don't think anyone's opposed to it unless, speak now, forever hold your peace.
Okay. Then policy, there's a policy, you'll see a lot of this. Today, the Volusia Flagler Transportation Planning Organization was called the River to Sea. Now it's updated, but before River to Sea, it was called the Volusia County Metropolitan Planning Organization. So that's been updated throughout. This required us to do bus shelters, but I changed the language to where appropriate. that gives you, the commission and the city manager, the ability to just say, we don't want to do bus shelters, and no one can point to it in the comp plan and say, well, you say that that's what you're going to do.
And bus shelters are expensive, right?
They're expensive and they get vandalized.
Get hit by cars.
And used for trash cans, dumpsters.
I don't know where this policy came from, but it needs to go because we don't follow it at all. All building setbacks shall be measured from the center line of the existing right-of-way line.
Measure it from the right-of-way
We
line.
measure from the property line,
Right.
right,
Okay.
okay? And then planning horizon is going out
Can you
to...
go back up?
What if it went to court, Brian?
I'm sorry, sir?
What if it went to court on something like that? Say like Nova Road says that 100-foot road front from the center of the road.
Well,
It's
that's why,
measured 50 feet out, 50 feet out.
that's why I need to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because
So it's out.
we could conceivably perhaps be open to
Now,
some
where would
of
you
those.
consider the property line? How far from the actual right-of-way of the road?
Well, the property line would be determined by whatever the surveyor determines the markers are.
To the road.
Isn't that
No, to
kind
the
of?
Well,
building. He's talking
it's
about
to the
building.
building.
To the building.
So for example, your house, the front of your
It
house,
stays from the center of the road to the building. How far would you consider it towards the road?
That's why he's taking it out.
It contradicts itself to your code,
right,
right?
right.
Because your code says so many feet from
From
your
the property line.
property line, and this is saying so many, yeah, so it's just
Right.
contradicting itself.
Yes. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't want to contradict anything because it goes to court.
No, it's just that thing kind of.
Okay. Um, Again, just terms.
There's something up there that's at 2016, Brian.
That's the Votran.
Votran?
Yeah, Votran has a plan that at the time was 2008.
Okay, established in, okay. gotcha.
Right, in the Votran Transit Design Guidelines. So when I contacted Votran to find out what their latest edition was of the transit guidelines, they said 2016.
Let me just back on that, just because it just hit me. If this white paper is my property and this is the right-of-way line, and I want to put my house here, and I need to know the setback, I think what it's saying is we determine the setback by the center of this, and that determines the setback for the whole thing.
The center of the right-of-way line, instead of the center, it's the center of the property
It's not
line.
the center of the road, it's the center of the right-of-way. So if this is the right-of-way line, that's,
Mhm.
and now I need to know where to put my house because this isn't the setback. So it's asking for the center of this, and that determines my setback, and then everything else, this might be more, this might be less.
So that means like sidewalk, the sidewalk has,
I'm just talking, not everybody's
That's
house,
sure. Now, when I built
not
it,
everybody's house
when I built
on
my
a property
property
like
on the
that.
road,
It's on a property, it may be on an angle, you might be on an angled road, and you want to put a house, you know, if it's 30 feet, you can't put your house 30 feet back from here. So if it's the center, you determine the right-of-way line based on the center of the right-of-way line.
We already have a process, though, for determining that we look at the properties next to it, we do averages.
That's if the property's like this.
Well, it's
Like
like
this.
that, or those that are built super close. I mean, we could look at that.
And as long as you think it's covered, I'm good.
I don't, I think that out of all of our properties, we may have very
Very-
few where that,
Yeah, there's not, most of our, fortunately, most of our
So-
city's square.
but no, I see what you're saying, and it makes sense. The problem that I'm running into is I've had people that come in, and they feel that okay, so if this,
Now you can move it right
this
up
is
to the
your
road.
road, they're looking at the center, they're saying it's from the center of the road. They say, this is the right of way, it's the center of the road, and so from here, to my property, that's 20 feet.
I
My
mean,
setback is
yeah.
25, I only have to be 5
It doesn't
feet.
say the center of the road.
Right.
It's center of the
That's
road.
what I'm saying.
Brian, when I bought the property on Nova Road, it was a 2-lane road. Now it's a 6-lane road.
Right.
Now, when I built it with a 70-foot setback from a right-of-way of the road, which is 50 feet from the center of the road to the outside, that belongs to the road.
Right.
So then I built it 70 feet back from that, that's a 70-foot setback. So it had, from the actual center of the road to the side of the road, it's got a 100-foot right-of-way there.
Right.
So you gotta build from wherever the road right-of-way is, then you gotta go to your setback back. That's
Yeah.
how that I did mine, because I remember I did a 70-foot setback from wherever the property that belongs to the road was back to the building. You know.
Mhm.
That's how they did it, that's how it was in the county at the time.
All right, well, let me look at this and see if it can be worded in a way that is more easily understood.
Yeah, now they've pretty well used up all the right-of-way the road has.
I think
with the
center
sidewalk
line
and
is the
everything.
problem.
Because if you have a right of way for a sidewalk and your property line's 4 or 5 feet
Well, now it's got a 6-lane road
off
with a
from the
sidewalk.
right of
and
way,
everything.
you're saying that you can count that property line as the setback, is that right? If you're.
Property line is a property line, whether it's a road or a sidewalk or anything. Sidewalk is outside the property line.
Isn't this stating that you're going from the right of way, so that would be the other side of the sidewalk? If that's the line of the right of way.
Wherever the
Private-
right-of-way
the
is.
sidewalk's not, but the sidewalk's not on the private side of the right of way, it's in the right of way.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah,
It's
that's
part of
the
the
right of
road.
way, right?
Yeah.
So you're still using your property line, but there's sidewalks still on your property, even though it's the right of way.
No, there's no sidewalk on private property.
Yeah, so Nova Road is used up now, all their 100-foot road right-of-way just about, because they got sidewalks, 6-lane roads, everything.
Well,
And I'm still 70 foot back from their property, you know, the building is. That's how they go by, they went by with a state law. You know. This is state road, so that's how they go by.
Yeah, so I'll look at it and get
Here's the right.
something that maybe is. So here, it has the edge of the right-of-way, but then for the center line of the right-of-way, it's in the center of the road.
Yeah, see, that's where I disagree with it, because it shouldn't be taken from the center line
Right.
of the middle of the
Wherever
road.
wherever the road
Right.
property stops.
And if that's the case, then yes, it should definitely come out.
It looks, I think it looks.
That's how, yeah, well, that's how a lot of people are interpreting it. And I think some of them, they go to these diagrams, and some of them, like, here's the total right-of-way, and then they say, well, the center line of this right-of-way is
It's half of
here.
that.
It's half of that.
Half of that.
Yeah,
So-
I think you're better off keeping it out, taking it out.
Yeah, so do
It'll
I.
eliminate that
I think
confusion.
it adds confusion.
Yeah, because you can bother us any.
See, for example, if you look at this one, wait, where at? Here it even gives that idea, so I can't blow it up. But here it has 30 feet from the center line, and it says right here, can you see there? Right there, it says center line.
Yeah.
So it looks like the middle of the road. So that's what people bring in, they say, this is the center line,
Yeah.
I'm 20 feet from the center line,
Yeah.
and when they go back, it puts the property like right on the front of their property line, and I'm just like, no, that's not how that, so I thought it'd be better
You're
just.
better off taking it out.
Okay, I think that for transportation, yep, all the maps, there are required maps, and those have all been updated and moved. All right, that brings us to the housing element. So in the housing element, we've had some minor updates to terms. One of the things that we've done with the housing element is we've added, see, it's transportation. As you can see, I color-coded the pages to make them easier to go from one to the other. So here, I gave the purpose of the housing element so people understand why is it in the code, why is it in the comp plan, why is it important. But now here's something that the state did require, which we did not have. And that is basically a statistical analysis of our housing stock. So I had to go through a lot of information and to figure out, you know, where we stand with a lot of this. So for example, I'll just give you a paragraph. The city of Holly Hills primarily built out, therefore, other than infill development, there's relatively little remaining land for additional residential growth and development. An analysis of vacant land within the city indicates remaining residential development potential of 1,927 units, with an additional 70 units approved and under development. Based on the ACS, which is basically our census estimates, the city currently has a total of 4,610 single-family detached units and 2,137 multifamily units, 2 or more, and approximately 561 mobile home units, for a total of 7,308 housing units. Now, all of this information, I have to back it up to what the census says and to analysis that are done by the University of Florida, and also to projections that are done by the 5-year census updates. I can't, these numbers are not just pulled out of the air. So if we actually went out and put boots on the ground and had people go and count all of the mobile homes, is it 561? Probably not. But we don't have somebody to do that. So all I can do is go based on documents that are considered scholarly or that are approved in terms of their information being reasonable and authoritative, like the census. This didn't come from Wikipedia, all right?
What's that affecting as far as the numbers on there? What is that?
The reason why we want a snapshot of exactly what type of development we have now is the state is requiring that, and it also looks at, I'm going to not say ideas, but there's information to show how quickly communities are growing in these different areas. How quickly is a community developing in terms of its multifamily housing? How quickly is it developing in terms of its single-family housing? How quickly is it developing within the mobile home community? Are we seeing less mobile home communities? Are we seeing more mobile home communities? So a lot of this information is for their projections, but also when we say that our housing is growing at a certain rate, we have to show that we can accommodate all of the infrastructure and the water and things to accommodate that.
It's a number to begin with.
It's a number to begin with to kind of show where we're at.
Yeah. But we don't have 561 mobile homes out there. I don't think we have half of that. Do you?
Oh, yeah, look at
Holly
Forest.
Forest.
I guess they call that mobile home, yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
So you put boots on the ground and somebody comes back and says, we have 700 mobile home parks, that may very well be. But I can't do that, some estimate that I have out of the air. If I had people go out and count, then I could state that, and then that would be accepted. But if I just said, I think we have a little bit more than that, that won't fly. They'd come back and say, we want something.
Well, you stated your source on the bottom there.
Correct, yes. So the other thing is according to the ACS 5-year estimates data profiles for 2023, approximately 80% of Holly Hills housing units were built more than 25 years ago. I provided the table showing how many housing units, here's the total housing units, how many were built in 1920, from 2010, 2019, from 2000 to 2009, 1990 to 1999, and so on. This is our household characteristics. This is our housing tenure and vacancy rates. So tenure shows of our housing units, occupied housing units, how many do we have? Owner occupied, how many do we have? Renter occupied, how many do we have? Our vacancy status, how many are vacant? These are the values. Okay, how many people are living in homes from 50,000 to 99.99? 473. How many are living in houses from 300,000 to 499.99? 330. You'll see that the majority of people are living in homes that are 150,000 to 200,000, and then the next would be 200,000 to 300,000.
As of 2023, right?
As of 2023. And that's acceptable because that's the best data that we have.
That's good
According
information
to
right
them.
there.
Yeah.
I'll have to get a copy of that.
It'll be in the agenda. item.
It'll be in the agenda item
It
and the
is?
comp plan.
Oh, okay, cool.
Um,
Kind of neat.
Occupied units, paying by rent. How many people,
Yeah, right.
how many people are paying, 1,000 to 1,500? 1,278 households are paying approximately that. How many are paying 3,000 or more? 55. It's probably Marina Grand. How many, are paying between 2,000 and 2,500? 398. So that's where that comes from.
Where did this information come from? This is part of the study from the college?
The U.S. Census Bureau, U.S. Department of Commerce. I had to do a lot of digging to get this information because the data tables, there are thousands of them. And so I had to nail down exactly what I'm looking for. This is one of those things that you may not see a whole lot of changes, but it doesn't mean it didn't take a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
So then I gave household characteristic projections. And I won't go through all of this. But basically what this does, when you look at your vacant residential land use potential yield,
All right, Commissioner Snow, I get it.
No, it's not me. Everybody's told. I get it, I'm fine. I just don't have a pretty fan.
Well, it went from 70 to 71.
I'm feeling it.
Hard to tell the difference.
I thought for one second, I shouldn't do that, but I'm fine, so I'm gonna do it, yeah.
Put the fan on?
no, you know.
Oh, that'd make it even worse for him.
Kill our city manager.
Yeah, please, let's not kill Roy and Joe, please.
I'll just go over this with you quickly, so you understand what the household yield is and how that affects our population projections. So your vacant residential land analysis indicates the remaining residential build-out potential for the city is about 1,927 units. This represents one residential housing unit for every 2.2 people for the balance of the built-out population. Some communities are at 2.3, 2.4. We kind of fluctuate between there, so I picked 2.2. The current population today, 13,172 people, requires at least 5,987 housing units. Since it's estimated that there are currently 7,308 housing units, it can be concluded that there is sufficient housing for the current population of Holly Hill. The population is expected to grow very little by 2035 and 2045. The population in those years is estimated to be 13,691 and 13,637 respectively. This represents an increase of 447 people from 2025 to 2035 and 18 people from 2035 to 2045. Given that there's currently enough land to support units for a growth in population of 4,238 people, it can be concluded that the city is able to provide for the housing needs of its population through the 2035, 2045 planning periods. This, I had to provide this information, this we didn't have, and when I talked to the state, and they said, you gotta have that in there. How we basically do that is, you have a bunch of residential land. We look at how many housing units are allowed to go on that residential land. We take those housing units and we say that each one of those housing units is basically going to have 2.2 people. So when you look at our population and the growth of that population, you have to say the growth of that population is going to need this many new homes. Do we have the land, the residential land available to do that? Some communities don't, because they maybe have too much land for slotted for commercial. And what this plan would actually require them to do is rezone that land, or change in their comp plan that land from commercial to residential, to show that they can accommodate their projected population. So that's why this is very important. This can change, it won't in our case, but in some communities, it can change the layout of the community.
So Brian, how do we consider the motel residential units? Is that included in this, or is that a commercial unit?
That is not
Because
included.
they're really supposed to be commercial, but they're being used as residential.
What we're looking at what we have legitimately and what the legitimate uses of things are. In our case, if the hotels would make a difference, then I would have probably built in a statement saying that, we have hotels that are being used as residential units, but we're trying to stop that. We're actively working to get rid of that problem. So I didn't want to put in there and represent to the state that we have that as an issue when it's something that we're working on and making progress on. And even if we didn't, we have enough
Capacity without that. Right?
capacity, right? So basically with the housing units, we gave it that analysis. You're welcome to go through it in more detail. I added policy 1.1.6, which says the city shall seek to identify historically significant housing and other housing for purposes of conservation, replacement, rehabilitation, and adaptive reuse. Added some language here to add that we are looking to rehabilitate and eliminate substandard housing, and that the city will make all effort to eliminate housing that is determined to be not economically feasible to repair. I added policy 1.2.1. Through its code enforcement and building inspection process, the city shall regularly identify substandard housing, along with housing that may be in need of structural and aesthetic improvements. These particular policies were required by the state, or some form of that wording was required by the state. And I got rid of this. I don't know if you want to keep this in, but we had thought about doing this type of thing, and it just seemed that there was some legal challenges. Policy 1.9.3, the city shall maintain a program of annual inspections of rental housing, including single-family housing, as identified through the Rental Housing Business Tax Receipt Program. We don't do that.
We used to.
If we decided to do it, does it have to be in this plan to do it?
If you think there's a possibility going back to it, I would leave it in. If you want to have the ability to go back to it, I would leave it in there.
Well, I know it was a pain in the rear to try and schedule it, but if the goal before that is to eliminate substandard housing, and we put the squeeze on some slumlords, we would eliminate substandard housing.
Well, we can still do that if, right now, we have the residents who are renting are more than happy to invite code enforcement in. I can't keep up with the volume of substandard housing, just because there's just a lot of it out there. But our code officers right now have enough to keep them busy in terms of they're being invited into apartment buildings and into rentals. But if you want, that's one of those things that there's really no harm in keeping it in there. I just know we had looked into it and decided not to do it, given that I think Ponce Inlet was being sued for it.
If it's left in there, can we be held responsible for it being in there and we're not doing it?
Well, if you want to leave it in there, I wouldn't leave it in there the way it is, because it says
You'd have
you
to
shall.
change shall.
Right now,
Can it say may? Can it say may?
we can change it to may. When your when your comprehensive plan says shall, you can be sued for not doing it. Because
So if we're gonna keep it, we need to change.
I would either get rid of it or change the wording of it. Because when you put in shall, you as a commission are saying, this is our policy, and we shall do it. And then you have to have a mechanism in place to do it.
Well, the school of thought when we did it was that the BTR would pay for that
Originally.
originally.
And then Will Wingo did away with it, but kept the BTR.
Yeah, she kept collecting the money but didn't do the program.
Remember, 2 years ago, we brought it back, and what we did is we established what would have been an inspection fee under the rental housing business tax receipt program. So they pay a BTR, and then they would also pay an inspection fee.
That's when we switched to some computer program that we did, where they had to register and.
Well, that was for identifying vacant properties.
Okay.
But we didn't move forward with it because at that time, then Ponce Inlet started, there was a lawsuit against Ponce Inlet for doing it. And although I don't know the outcome of it, I just don't know what the outcome is.
Yeah, I don't, now what I could do is just simply change it to, if feasible, the city will maintain a program of annual inspections.
You can just say the city may.
I could say may.
I think putting the word may in there leaves it open-ended
Okay.
unless anyone objects.
Well, the city has the option of maintaining.
I like it being there so you have the opportunity
Yeah, you can
to be
do it
able
if
to
you
use
need
it
to.
if you have to.
All right. Utilities, the utilities element. So, again, new pages have been added to describe why it is important. Policy, there's a policy here that has been eliminated. Let's see. Utilities. 4, 5, well, let's see. Waste. Here, objective 1.2, this one has been reworded significantly. The practical means to work with the county waste programs to achieve the statewide weight-based recycling goal of 75%. The 75%, that's an update that now has to be met. So I had Public Works go through this, and so they eliminated 30%, updated it, but that's...
There's no way we're achieving 75% of our waste weight in recycling.
I think that's
Especially
not
when you can't recycle,
recyclable.
you've added to it.
That's not recyclable, that's just
They don't
recycling.
recycle
Different
anymore.
things.
You're not getting 10%, so.
If you've added, it's increased.
I'm gonna have to go over this with him.
Yeah,
Because
because
when I get rid of
doubt
the
very
blue-
seriously
Oh, and then when I get rid of the blue, it doesn't make sense. The city shall continue to maintain and enforce the comprehensive solid waste reduction program, which addresses in particular, okay, a practical means to work with the county's waste programs to achieve statewide weight-based recycling goal of 75%. Okay, so yeah, when you add this, it does. So yeah, what they said is that we now have this as our requirement to work with the city. I think that's that's not ours. That's the county-wide. This is a county-wide goal, and basically we're saying
We're participating.
we will participate.
Okay.
It's not that the city, because I think the city may, the way we're talking, we may eliminate
Right.
recycling. But if the county comes and has some other things that they want us to do, I think what we're saying is we're open to working with them.
I think you gotta put that apostrophe S back in there.
County waste programs, a practical means to work with, yeah, I think I should get rid of that, okay. County, the counties,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
We'll put that back in.
It's at 75% right now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call him and verify, but that's what he said.
Joseph or Bill?
Joseph.
I know it was brought up in this most recent legislation session,
It didn't pass.
but that was where the 75% came from.
Yeah,
Previously,
but
before
it didn't
that, it
pass,
was
and in
not.
order to get there, you have to use incineration.
Okay, I'll get clarification on
So
that.
I don't think that ended up passing.
Okay.
Is incineration and more, is it expensive?
That's how you reduce your weight. If it goes to an incinerator, it doesn't go to the landfill and pound it
Is
with
that,
ash.
is that turned down?
I don't believe it passed.
It didn't pass because when we were first talking about it, we were concerned about not taking it out of the waste pro contract.
Right.
And then when it
So
didn't,
so they were considering accelerate, but they didn't want to do it? Was there a reason? Was it financially?
Well, this is a statewide goal. It's not,
Oh.
this was a county thing, this is a statewide goal. And in order to do that, they'd have to build these incinerators in order to burn this trash, and then with that comes a whole other series of problems, including pollution and getting it to the incinerators.
Well, I've seen some of them incinerators out in
Clean.
Texas. Some of them are really clean. You don't see
Yeah.
anything from them hardly. The way they have the water filters on them and the consolidated water, what do they
Not
call it?
here.
Yeah, they absorb it all. That hardly puts out anything but steam.
You're eating halfway through, Brian.
Oh, they're less as we go by. Chapter 4 in that paper that I gave, Chapter 4 says, Chapter 4, a new page has been added providing information regarding why the housing element is important. That should be the utilities element, not housing element. So Chapter 4. That, and that's basically it.
So that 75% goes back to a 2008 goal.
I'll double check with him. I gave that section to Public Works for them to go through because utilities and is not my area of expertise. So that's what came back. I did talk to him about his changes and they seemed confident about them, but I will get with them again. Coastal management. So policy 1.41 has been eliminated. The city shall provide representation on the county's water and soil conservation district as a means of promoting the objective.
Yeah, they don't have that.
We don't, right. So we got rid of that. Objective 1.8
I just gotta stand up for a minute.
has been reworded. The city shall apply within its limits all applicable rules and regulations of the county's manatee protection plan. Because we as a city basically follow the county's manatee protection plan. We don't have our own that we've drawn up. And what this does is says that we are going to, the city shall, again, formulate and adopt a local manatee protection plan. And I don't think we have our own manatee protection plan, so I just, we're gonna follow the counties. And then goal number 3, this was actually part of something that you've already seen, but that had not yet been included. So now it's going to be included. All of this you have already seen. These are changes that I made with the peril of flood that now need to go get officially put in there. It was a lot to add into our document, so I just waited. We had it adopted and met the state requirement, but it wasn't added because of several pages and many maps until we are doing a full update. And yeah, we don't have that section. And that is chapter 5. Chapter 6, recreation and open space. So they've been, again, minor turns to updates. I will show you here, we did do chapter 3, purpose of the utilities element. An analysis for our parks, because our parks do have a required level of service, meaning that we are required to have so many acres per thousands of people.
Far exceed that.
We far exceed it. But that information needs to be articulated to the state, and that had not been done. So I want to just get to it. And that is the purpose of the recreation open space element, but then an introduction that talks about our parks. And I say that while the city of Holly Hill does not have a formal recreation department or program, because the state talks about that, I had to let them know we don't have that. It does collaborate with and provide financial assistance to facilities such as the YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club, Pictone at Holly Hill. And then in addition to seating areas within the city, Holly Hill currently has the following city-owned parks. So I list them, figured out the acreage for all of them.
Do we still call it Hollyland Park?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The underlying is, it's Hollyland Park, but Pictone at Holly Hill is located in Hollyland Park.
Okay.
That's spelled wrong.
I just saw that.
You can
It's
get
not
your
Holy Land.
you can get your crucifix there.
So that's public parks? Is that what that's the list of our public parks?
Yeah.
Yes.
Pictone is considered a public park?
No, but Pictone is located in the public park.
Park. Okay.
Well, and there's quite a few aspects of Pictone itself that are
Hollyland will
public.
never go away.
That's one. Gardens.
The gardens, the other recreational,
Pavilion area.
yeah. The only thing that is not is pickleball itself. Everything else there is open to the public.
So this now the state required us to show, so required levels of service of parks per the capital improvement element. Neighborhood parks, we have to have 1 acre per 1,000 residents. The state requires us to break our parks into divisions, neighborhood, and then community parks, and 2 acres per 1,000 residents. So given our population projections, There are currently approximately 17 acres of neighborhood parks and 36 acres of community parks. Therefore, the adopted level of service for parks is currently being met and will continue to be met through 2045 for the projected increase in population.
Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought the population projections from 25 to 45 was about 560, and that's 1,000 more than that. Didn't we show back on one of
Yeah, that was 5 something.
So this one should be 13,637,
correct?
not
That's what
14.
from what I recall.
Okay.
Don't hold me to that, but
No, I
Nope,
think you're right,
nope.
it should be a 13.
You're absolutely, yep. And I appreciate the proofreading.
I'm just a numbers guy.
No,
I remember numbers.
I appreciate this.
That's one thing
You
I've
know,
always been able to depend on, John being a numbers guy.
Hey, at the end of this meeting, I'm going to tell you how much rain falls in 1 inch of rain in our city.
About 1 inch.
How many gallons?
You'll
I'm going to tell you how
How
many
many
gallons.
inches are in 1 inch?
How many?
Don't think we need you to tell us.
Does a pound of feathers or a pound of lead weigh more?
I appreciate this because I can tell you that at the county, something like this would go through about no less than 15 people
Right.
before it would even get to you.
15 smart
And-
people, that's
and-
what you're saying.
How many
So,
pounds of a gallon?
you know,
About 8?
8.5, 8.35.
8.359.
I got it right, see,
He was
8.35.
close, man.
He knows how to carry a
That's
hose.
my baking days.
I thought that was a fireman. How much does a 4-inch hose weigh?
They don't use them anymore, that
That's
ain't
how
a
long it
5
is.
inch.
They use 5-inch hoses?
Fire departments all use 5 inch, everyone's 12 inch. 4 wasn't quite big enough.
who added this policy. This was also required by the state. So there's some things that needed to be clarified and just made more prominent that the state requires that weren't there. Assure the continued maintenance of existing park and recreation facilities, implement necessary changes to increase the level of safety for the user.
Close all bathrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe
Yeah.
that picture.
I couldn't hear. That was terrible.
Just why?
Do we have a park and recreation master plan?
No.
Okay. I didn't think we did, so I got rid of the references to that.
That probably went away
These
back
are
when
all,
Parks and Recreation went away.
again, our master plan. So I got rid of any references to our master plan. This also, I made some changes to. Unless otherwise provided by interlocal agreement, the city, I changed shall to may, continue to charge non-residents an annual fee determined by the city commission for the use of city recreation facilities.
Should it be annual fee or just fee? Like if I went to rent the pavilion and I'm not a resident, I'm not going to charge them.
Yeah, I don't know that,
Well, right now it says annual.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know what we would charge an annual fee for, though. I wonder why that's in there like that.
Well, because it's basically a user fee. They're saying that we will you charge a user fee
Well, maybe
unless
it needs,
provided,
maybe it needs to state that instead of annual.
just a fee.
I think residents.
Either user fee or fee.
Because we do charge different rates, right?
Yeah, but it's not an
We
annual.
don't have any recreation facilities.
Yeah, why does it say annual? Why?
Well, when you rent the
that's like
pavilion,
yearly.
like
Yeah, if you rent
at the
that
parks.
pavilion or
That's not a
something.
recreation facility.
It's a park.
Okay, we'll just change that to fee.
And we don't charge a non-resident differential for that. It's the
Right.
same price for everyone.
No, we should differentiate that.
We should, but then what happens is everybody from outside the city finds a friend living in the city to rent the park for them.
There's always a way around.
And then I'll start getting all kinds of phone calls. Hey, can you rent this for me? No.
Okay.
Mostly from my in-laws.
got rid of policy 1.7.2. By 2015, the city shall develop in conjunction with the FDOT and Volusia County a priority plan for bikeway and bike path construction. This plan will identify funding sources for these projects, identification, implementation planning, and will provide an implementation schedule. The reason, so I got rid of, this talks about grant applications and basically applying for grant applications, and it gives some examples of who we may work with to try, or grants that we may go after, or organizations that we may work with to get grants. The reason why I got rid of Save Our Rivers program is because that's a state-funded initiative that uses water management money from a land trust fund for the purpose of buying economically or environmentally sensitive lands.
Volusia forever.
Right. So if we I just didn't see us as a city purchasing environmentally sensitive lands for the purpose of keeping them in that state.
We don't have.
So we really don't have any. So I just got rid of that again, just to clean up. Intergovernmental coordination updates, minor updates to terms. For example, mediation by the Volusia Council of Governments. We don't have that. Policy 1.1.5 was eliminated. The city shall continue to encourage the intergovernmental coordination efforts with the Volusia Council of Governments and shall promote the VCOG's continuing involvement in the study in the area-wide issues and in the study of area-wide issues and opportunities.
Should we insert the Volusia League of Cities in that? Because
No, because VCOG was a different,
Animal.
and the League of Cities didn't replace VCOG.
Okay.
Because been gone a long time.
Yeah.
Mary Swiderski.
I just didn't know what the Council of Governments.
VCOG actually did, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but they actually did planning and review of plans.
Originally,
rezones.
VCOG provided us Bob Keith as our city planner,
Wow,
and we
okay.
shared Bob Keith with other small cities.
Okay.
So they're different animal.
Yeah. And from VCOG came the Volusia Water Alliance. There it is.
Yeah,
Wave.
that's gone.
Yeah. So, yeah, I went through these organizations, and policy 1.2.3 has been eliminated. By 2011, the city shall adopt and implement an interlocal program with Volusia County and the city of Daytona Beach relative to water supply planning for the 122 homes north of the city and the new journal, should say news journal, but that's how it appeared, news journal site, which includes procedures for, and it gives the procedures. So I'm assuming that that can go.
Whatever happened with that? Did we adopt that property back, or is there a way to get it?
What
back?
property?
The News Journal?
No,
That's
it's
Daytona.
part of Daytona.
So there's no way to
No.
reincorporate that?
God, that's been part of Daytona for years.
Yeah, well, the News Journal.
Then we eliminated this policy, 2.1.5, the city of Holly Hill shall adopt regulations necessary to implement school concurrency and section 206 of the Volusia County Charter no later than February 1st, 2008. Next one, this is chapter 8, and this has to do with our capital improvements element. All of these charts have been updated, so they no longer apply. And I'll show you those. There is very little change to our capital improvements. Most of our change is in the way of our charts, so that is in our updated version. So this was updated, a new policy by Public Works, the city shall maintain a water supply facilities work plan that is coordinated with St. John's Water Management and the East Coast Regional Water Supply Plan by updating the work plan within 18 months of an update to the district regional water supply plan that affects the city. The city's water supply facilities, the work plan is adopted by reference. And then this, I talked with Joseph today because I didn't think that this should be eliminated. I don't know why he did, but he agreed that this should not have been eliminated. He thinks it was a mistake. So this is going back in. It's not a change. That will just be put back in, and we'll have to update the policy numbers. This was eliminated because it's really not a Holly Hill responsibility, providing for a financially feasible public school facilities program. This, we don't have any control over this. The levels of service for the schools, their attendance. So the school capital facilities planning. This is information I think that was maybe included from the school district, but it really doesn't need to be in our comprehensive plan. This is their improvements.
They make their own.
They make their own.
Yeah.
What I did do is I just took their capital improvement 5-year schedule and I stuck it, the updated one, in our area where we have additional maps and maps and charts. But in terms of all of this information, the school sites and all, just I didn't see the need for it, so eliminated that. Public school facilities element. Only thing, policies, there's 2 policies and there's 1 policy and then parts of 1 that have been eliminated. So in 2.1.3, got rid of this information which talks about the school. This is 2010. What schools shall achieve the adopted level of service no later than the identified date? The identified date is 2012, 2014.
But are we required to address the schools at all? Because if the school board took out our middle school, they could take out our elementary school tomorrow.
So the state came out and said that communities are no longer required to have a public school facilities element. So I thought that was great. I was ready just to eliminate the whole thing and make it easy, until I talked with a member of the school board, and they reminded me that you can do that unless we have an interlocal agreement that states that all of the schools served in Volusia County, that the cities that have schools in Volusia County will keep that element. We do have an interlocal with the school board. It's old, but we do have one.
Okay.
So because of that, I had to keep the element, and what I did is I just updated portions of the element. But yes, Mayor, to your point, that's a good question, because the state, some other counties have been able to get rid of it. And again, this has to do with levels of service for these schools. That has nothing to do with us. Sam Sill Elementary, Coronado.
But we do review concurrency if the development, if our elementary school can handle the capacity, correct?
Yes, yes. But again, we would look at it, but again, that determination would ultimately be made by the school board. They trump us in terms of,
yes.
Right. And that's basically it there. And then that brings us to Chapter 10, property rights element that was adopted a few years ago. And there have been no changes to that at all. So that has to do with that. And then this is, I'll just take you very quickly, what the comp plan basically will look like now. I'll have a cover, table of contents, which has been color coordinated, and then the additional information. These are all of the maps that were updated. Description of parcel with commercial land use limitation is new. It tells you what's been updated, what's been new. I will take this out. This is just here for you to see what's been updated now.
This is what the book's,
And then,
so this is the map section that Brian just talked about, and this is the updated comp plan. And you can see that
here,
it's
if you want to pass it around.
color coded in the,
And you're gonna send it to us after this meeting, and when you fix those things.
it's gonna end up on your agenda.
Well, it's in the
It's gonna go to planning and appeals.
Color
It
code
already
is
is.
gonna help
It's
out.
on, this is,
Not-
That helps me.
it's gonna come up on a future agenda.
Okay.
Right. So, here, you see the color coordination for the updates. But what I'm gonna do is just, I'll take you to the end, to where you'll see where all the maps and charts went. So at the end of the comp plan, there'll be the additional information, maps, charts, and tables, and those are divided up.
Where's that in the city?
This?
Yeah, where's that?
This is on the corner of Flowich and Fantasy Lane. Yeah, that's it. So this is the projections, and again, that area is, that one is going to have to be fixed. I appreciate you seeing that. Our land use map updated. Parcels annexed from 2006 to 24. Our generalized existing land uses. So single-family residential, how many acres do we have? You know, general commercial, how many acres do we have? Total city acres, that's how many we have. Land use residential carrying capacity. So again, just for a quick explanation, we have our low-density residential land use. We have 23.88 acres of low-density residential land use at 6 dwelling units an acre. That gives us a gross dwelling of 143 dwelling units based on the amount of acres we have of low-density residential. 143 dwelling units given the calculation for family units gives us 315 people
2.2, right?
potentially. Yeah, it's about that. Low, medium density, we have 49 acres. At maximum density of 10, that's 487 dwelling units. That will fit 1,071 people. So that's done. That shows your residential carrying capacity. Based on what we have, how many people can we accommodate with what we have? For addition, 4,238. We're not expected to grow anywhere near that. This is our vacant property types, where we have vacant property. This is the area around Fountainhead and its zoning, or its land use. So
What's the yellow, Brian? There's a lot of yellow.
these are residential. This is I think it's close to a 5-acre piece off of Nova. In fact, I had a guy call me today. He wanted to use this to be flex housing, a flex space.
In the past, you've had people look to do affordable housing on that spot.
Yeah.
Never those.
Flex workspace.
Hey, go up a little bit more.
Yes, flex space for work.
Is the new, yeah, I can see 10th Street, is the new development out there on 10th Street, West Nova, is that it? That yellow out there? I think that's it.
No,
No, that's
No.
Walker.
no, that's over here,
Yeah.
and that's right there. Show me
And the
this.
center,
That's behind Aloha Marine.
Which one?
That,
This is, so the
That's
west side of Nova?
yeah, the one that we
That's
just.
Aloha Marine?
That's Aloha Marine right there.
Okay.
So
yeah.
down a little bit, the,
Yes.
the housing on 10th Street, right there. Or is that it?
That looks like 10th Street, 11th is right there.
Yes.
LPG is there.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. The reason why it's not listed as vacant is because it now
Built on now.
has a build,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. I'm sorry, Commissioner, what was your question?
Zen Living, I've heard that 100 times. Is it started?
That's
Nope.
purple,
No.
right?
They've submitted the plans, but they're just, you know,
And that's by me, by
That's-
Ace Hardware.
right.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's down to the purple.
Yeah, they're
that's
dragging
all-
their feet.
Well, it's between tariffs and
Right.
high interest rates. You know, there's a lot of projects that are sitting on the shelf right now, so.
Well, because of that stuff.
Well, they may be for sale too, we don't know. It's entitled now, so maybe for sale.
I haven't seen a sale sign on it.
No, but, I mean, there's a lot, I think there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
these are the soil types, and again, this is required by the state.
Is this gonna be,
That's Brian's.
is this, are we getting this somewhere? Are we
Well, it's
getting-
gonna be in your agenda.
Yeah, it's gonna,
Yes.
so I'll have it, be able to download it? or
Yeah,
whatever?
not yet, after it comes back from, before it goes to the state, after it comes back from Board of Planning and Appeals, then it'll go to the commission.
Okay, then we'll have access to it.
Yes.
Right now, it's in your workshop, it's in your workshop agenda now, as you just saw it.
This, oh, that, yeah, I got that here,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm familiar with that. We don't have all that yet.
This is the flood map. And all of these maps and charts are required by the state. Some of them we didn't have, others, they all needed to be updated from
That flood
2010.
map, is that what we have an idea of now, like, for what we're having problems with?
A&E, yeah.
Yes. This is, now, just because an area is not listed on here as being flood prone, doesn't
Yeah.
mean it doesn't flood.
Yeah,
Now, I'll draw your attention to the north part of that map, around the area of Anniston. All those cul-de-sacs are in the flood zone.
Yes.
Well, and that, the whole place where the RV park is gonna be rezoned.
It's in a flood zone.
that's
No,
not
it'll
gonna,
be,
that's not gonna
they
flood.
built it out of the flood zone now.
Yeah, it's not gonna flood now.
This is the historical sites
Okay.
map, and this is the map key for it.
Nice. Those are the ones that they put the monument on,
The little
the
placard.
Historic Society put the brass thing on.
Yeah.
Yes.
That ain't press.
This is our CRA.
Gold aluminum.
Shows our future land use categories, and then what zoning districts are permitted in that land use category. So you'll notice, for example, under medium density residential, you can't do R1, R2, R3, you can't put these zoning districts. So I'll never come to you and say, hey, can we rezone this property to R2 with a medium density residential future land use? They need to be the more intense. For example, the R6s, the R7s, but then you notice no commercial. These are all commercial zonings. None of those are allowed. We got rid of the mixed use 2 and 3, made it a general mixed use, so that's reflected here. Sorry, Commissioner?
No, go ahead.
All right.
When you showed the key, took care of the question.
Oh, okay. These are the properties behind Aloha Marine. Here's Aloha Marine. This is where the 1088 10th Street and the properties around it. I'm sorry, no, not 1088 10th Street. This is Aloha. This is where they're doing the storage. Right, the storage. And remember, we wanted to, because it's around residential, they needed a commercial future land use, but we didn't want them to have a commercial future land use and be able to do a bar. So we restricted what they could do with the future land use of commercial to just being storage. And so we had to do a comp plan amendment for that, just for those parcels. And that's what that is. Transportation element, this is Jarecki, Mayor, just so you know. After a heavy rain.
With a storm.
Yeah.
Is that a snip and connect?
That's it. Transportation circulation map, roadway levels of service, 2025. Levels of service, A is the green, and the only area that we have on our major areas, we're only required to show our major roads, is LPGA Boulevard right now, from US 1 to Riverside. That's at an A. A D, US 1, Nova, and E is Flomich. Okay. This is our this is our evacuation routes map. These are our 3 major arterials for our evacuation. Functional classification map shows basically now what these roads are classified as. Red are your principal arterials, Nova. Minor arterial, such as 10th Street, is a minor arterial. Flomich is considered a major collector. Minor collectors, 6th, 8th, Walker. So we're required to show that. Future traffic circulation map. So in the future, what roads do we anticipate they're existing? We don't have any new roads, so I just basically kept this the same as our functional classification map. This is the county's roadway level of service, and I included this because they are considered the authority, but it just shows here US 1, Nova, and then this is Flomich, and then Mason. And then if you take this and you compare it to what we have, it just shows that they match, so that there's not a question in terms of our levels of service. Roadway maintenance map shows who maintains what. The county maintains what's in blue. The city maintains what's in tan, and the state maintains what's in green. And I have to state that our new senior planner, Josh, did these GIS maps.
Caledonia's not on there.
It's not major.
It's not.
No, it's not considered a...
No.
They want a roadway numbers of lanes. 2 lanes are in black. A blue is a 2-lane divided, and the only area where we have that is this area here of Riverside. As it goes up to Ormond Beach, it turns into a 2-lane divided. Before it gets there, it's just a two-lane road. 4-lane divided, US 1, 6-lane divided, Nova.
How do they consider that a 2-lane divided? It's actually a 4-lane.
Not on
Little side lane.
Riverside?
Two lanes, yeah.
That's 2 lanes, then another 2-lane on the
Yeah, it's not really a 2-lane divided. It's like what we call it a service road. It's
access,
an access
service.
road. Yeah, because you don't travel down there.
Utilities element, what this shows, shows us basically that we are able to accommodate any increases in population. So you have your population. Here they have historical population, and then our projected population and the year. So projected population, the year, the annual average of millions of gallons per day, our permitted maximum, which is based on our CUP, our consumptive use permit, and then this shows where we are with regard to our annual average, or how much we can draw, our CUP annual average millions of gallons per day. based on how much we're permitted. That doesn't really change through the years. And then our gallons per capita per day. 100. So based on our population of, in 2045, of 13,637 people, in 2045, we have them an average, at that time, average of millions of gallons per day, annual average, 1.3637. We're able to pull 2.300, which exceeds that. And we're allowed to, based on 1.7, which is our consumptive use.
How often do we renew the consumptive use permit?
Is it every
I don't remember, but
10 years?
I don't remember. But it was knocked down. The
I
cut
was
was,
gonna imagine the state would start lowering that.
well, it was a 2.3 at one time. That's why our plant has the capability of doing 2.3, but our cup is only at 1.7. So it's reduced it over time.
And then we do the same with our wastewater. This is historical and projected. So our population, 13. He
Does that include the new tank that's going in over there?
What is this map?
for our wastewater, to show that we can process our wastewater given our population out to 2045.
Well, again, all right, so look at that permitted maximum average daily flow.
Yeah,
No, the right column.
What's gonna be the capacity of that new plant?
3,000. So
And we get storms that were at 6,000, that's thousands of millions.
Is there a
That's
capacity
not
level for
millions.
the
Millions.
projection of the new plant when it's done? Is there, like, what we can handle? What's the maximum it'll handle?
I don't know that number, but, you know, even this past last week, we were at 6 million gallons coming into the plant, and we're only rated for 3 million.
Is that with the new one online?
No, that's
We're not
without the
online
new
with
one
the new
yet.
one yet.
No,
right?
not yet. Hopefully.
I was just curious of what that's gonna handle at a maximum. Will we already be able to reach, we're gonna be able to handle that by then
Yeah,
anyway.
it's gonna catch up rather quickly, because
Yeah.
like I said, with all the I&I that we have, you know, we're doubling what the amount of gallons coming in. You know, look at that chart. We're producing 1.7 million gallons a day, and in some cases, we're cleaning 6 million gallons of wastewater.
Yeah.
Help all leakage. That's coming out of our.
It's groundwater coming into the system,
Yeah.
it's cross connection between people opening up their caps, it's tide water coming in. It's ridiculous, and we're, you know, a lot of, you know, they built the sewer system with clay pipe. That clay pipe is cracked, it's sitting in the water tables.
And with the king tides that we've had lately, it has helped a lot.
Is the sealing of these pipes what's the elasticity of that? In other words, what kind of projection of?
Oh,
usage
50
do we
years,
have?
I think.
50
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
once it's lined?
Yeah.
It's PVC.
So that's gonna help with the infiltration of.
It's going to hugely help. You know, again, that's $6.3 million worth of pipelining, but that's only east of Ridgewood. So it's definitely going to help.
This is just a map showing our well field locations. This is not in the city of Holly Hill. This is city of Holly Hill, but there's a connection out to the west, and the state wants this included, so.
Well,
we
those
didn't
are our
have it.
western well fields.
Yeah, and the
That's-
ones
that's
way
where we-
out on LPG.
That's where we get our water right now.
Right now, I'm just saying it's not in the city though.
It's not in our city limits,
Right.
but those are.
But they are part of our system.
Right.
That's why I included it, even though it's not in our city.
Are they still active, Joe? These ones in
The ones that are in the city, they blend them, each month they blend them in a little bit, but they're full of salt, so we can't use them directly.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
So we just blend them a little bit just to keep them active.
Coastal management, I'll just go through these quickly. These are our high hazard maps. These are projected sea level rise based on, by different organizations.
And if that don't make them want to move, I don't know what does.
Yeah. It's all the same.
Or be ready to move.
These are our,
Why did you call it Portland?
okay. These are our SWOsh models showing Category 3 hurricane, what it would look like, Category 4 hurricane.
Those are the maps that came out of that.
Was that
Yeah,
wet? They're saying that's the
Yeah,
flooding for
right.
one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
A direct hit.
it's a direct hit from the east.
Yep.
that came out of that vulnerability study that we just did.
How's it gonna get up over the ridge?
Not these.
It's gonna be a
How
tidal
you gonna
wave.
get
It's
over the
gonna be
bridge?
a
It's
tidal
gonna be a
wave.
12-foot wall of water. It's gonna
It's
get
gonna
to
hit,
Nova
it's gonna
Road.
stop at Nova Road.
Capital improvements, this is
Okay.
our 5-year capital improvements.
It's gonna take LPGA to go out.
Well, I'm at the bottom of the ridge, so I'm up.
And then
You're getting wet.
Well, I'll go to Roy's house.
Again,
Roy lives in the
You went
high
on
house.
a 3? I don't know. I've seen three.
Not on the 3.
Really? Wow.
You get a 4 or 5, it's gonna be really
It's gonna be a
nasty.
direct.
That's pretty good.
I mean, we'll be a mess for years to come if it ever hits something.
If we ever get a direct hit like that, yeah.
All these older homes that are here, it'll be gone.
I used to.
Public schools.
Mine will.
I ain't stopping scrolling. I'm just gonna keep on scrolling.
Okay.
I'm not stopping.
But,
I'm not stopping.
Keep going.
Brian, scroll back up
It's in our flood
There we
study.
go.
because it said page something of something. Page 96 of 129.
Right, so what this is the school's 5-year capital projection, their forecast. I just pulled those pages.
29.
Okay,
From
from
there.
their report. Okay.
Yes, yep. I'm just including it in here because it is a capital forecast that involves a school in our city. And then this shows the elementary school concurrency service area, and Holly Hill is included on it
Okay.
in this area. And that is it.
Standing ovation. Oh my gosh.
Very good work.
Yeah.
That,
Incredible,
I'm
Brian.
sure that's a lot of hard work.
Thank you.
It's been about 9 months in the making.
Really. Wow.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, lots of good information.
All right, so I'll make
Thanks for the binder, Brian.
Yeah, you
No, I'm
can
kidding,
along.
man, I'm kidding.
So at this point, what we do is I will make the changes that have been brought to my attention. I will take this, create a staff report, put together more of an official presentation. It will get scheduled before the Board of Planning and Appeals. The Board of Planning and Appeals will listen to it, and then it's going to be scheduled to come before you as a city commission. We will consider basically much of the same information that we've had, but I will probably, with the staff report, I'll beef it up a little bit so that we don't have to spend this much time. I'll make it a very, very overall, because you've already seen it, presentation. And then my objective will be to ask you for permission to transmit this to the Department of Commerce. If you give that permission, then it gets transmitted to them. Then they will look at it. They will likely have questions and comments. They will send those back, and those questions and comments will need to be addressed. If it's anything major, then it will come back before you to consider the changes that the state wants made. If it's not anything major, or if it's just basically required stuff that you really don't have a choice on, I'll include it, put it all together. I'll deal with the state, back and forth with them to clear up their questions. Go over it with Joe, make sure that he's okay with everything. If he's okay with everything, then it will get scheduled to come before you for adoption. In that adoption hearing, I'll let you know what has changed, what my interaction and back and forth with has been with the state, so that you have an understanding of what happened between the time that you said okay that you allowed it to be transmitted to the time that you're now seeing it for adoption. If you're fine with everything, you would then adopt it, and then I would send everything to the state. I also have to send it to the Volusia VGMC, Growth Management, and they have to look at it. Their process, they have an expedited process and an unexpedited process. This does not qualify for their expedited process. So likely it will be many weeks to possibly a couple of months from the time that you say okay to transmit to the time that it comes to you for adoption.
Do we have anybody on that board anymore?
Mary Chris Smith is on it. Doug Gutierrez is
Representing the city of Hartsville.
of
Growth management.
not that I'm aware of.
That's something else we're supposed to put somebody on. The last person on that was Loretta Arthur.
Loretta, yeah.
So we need somebody for growth management. We haven't had on there.
I thought somebody was, let me check my binder.
All right. I don't think there is.
I don't think we have.
I know Loretta she came off of the planning, but wasn't there some things that she stayed on, or did she come off of that? as
I'll
well?
check,
double
yeah,
check.
see what I have.
Okay. And that's it. So.
All right, so while I have you all here, I'll just remind you, I sent out an email to you that we need somebody on the police pension board, preferably someone that has investment knowledge and experience, or at least finance knowledge and experience. Has to be a resident.
Who left?
Terry
Wood.
He did,
Yeah,
okay.
he didn't want to learn. I'll let you know that the police captain has resigned. He's given us his notice. I think October 3rd is his last day.
That was quick.
Oh,
Yeah.
What's his name?
Kenneth.
Yeah, okay.
Don't even ask, forget it.
Absolutely.
I just don't recognize their work.
We can talk about that later.
No, not a big deal. They moved down here. His wife works in Orlando, and from what I understand, they purchased a home on the west side of Orlando. So she lives there, and he purchased a home in New Smyrna Beach, and they don't like living apart. So one of them had to change, so he's the one who's changing, from what I've been told. And then just an update on LPGA. I sent you an email a couple of weeks ago that I contacted the DOT with regard to the study and asked them if they would come back and follow up on what our last work session was. And their response was, our job is done. You got to go back through the TPO if you want anything else done. Then on Friday, John and I went out to the county. We met with the Public Works Director, and we talked about the ideas that everybody had with regard to putting in the sheet piling in LPGA, using our CRA money to do that, and they were receptive to that idea. So we'll probably talk about that at another workshop to get some direction, and they said they would even take the lead on that. So that's good.
Yeah.
And then, what I think we would end up doing is something like pledging our CRA money that's got to basically be used on LPGA anyway, and use that to match programs to make repairs to the canal.
That sounds
So
awesome.
I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Yeah, 'cause once we get it level and over further level, then we have something to work with,
Well, the thought was they'd use the maximum amount of right-of-way to the south, sheet pile it there, come to as close to the roadway as they can, sheet pile it there, potentially put in a sidewalk. But the problem with putting in a sidewalk there is it would come and go from nowhere. You can't get past the railroad track, so you can't go anywhere. And coming down the other way, you end up at the Winn-Dixie Shopping Center. So unless we put some kind of a trailhead connector behind the Winn-Dixie Shopping Center, a sidewalk over there, you can't get there to use it, is what the problems would be. So at least they were very receptive to the idea, so that's a step in the right direction.
So what about road improvement while they're doing it? They're gonna tear the road up
Two
doing
different,
it.
no, they're not gonna touch the road.
It's gonna get torn up. You're gonna have all that heavy equipment on that road, it's gonna tear it up.
They'll patch it, but you know, once you start talking about road improvement, now you're talking about those takings that we talked about before, where this is the first step. We talked about doing the first step of getting the canal done.
I
So
get
we
it.
gotta start
but
there.
They're gonna tear that road up,
They'll patch it.
putting this, and that we'll just have a patched up LPGL out.
They'll pave it, but you're talking about road improvement, you're talking about widening, that's a different conversation.
No, just improved.
That's what-
Resurfaced would be nice.
Well, resurface is resurfacing,
And then clean up the sidewalk down the other side.
but when you talk about road improvement, when you say road improvement, that means widening. That's the terminology.
Wrong word.
Wrong word.
Okay. Made it nicer.
Yeah.
So I have a valuable prize. Whoever can get the closest within 1 million gallons. Assuming our city is 4 square miles and you receive 1 inch of rain, how many gallons of water is that?
Oh,
Don't Google it. You can't Google it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that doesn't quite seem fair.
You did this in your head while you were
6
sitting there?
million.
No.
No? Okay, you did it earlier.
20 million.
32 million.
69,514,240 gallons.
Who's closest?
No one was within a million.
Nobody was saying
That's close.
That is a lot
Covering the entire
of
city.
water.
I think you should bring that prize to the auction.
That is a lot of water.
The other thing I want to tell you is I sent you out an email this afternoon, but it was, it was sent out under an email that was titled Code Enforcement,
It was the weekly
Bathrooms.
report.
Bathrooms.
but it was, what?
Was it at the bathroom?
No, that was separate.
No, it
It's in the
was
bathroom.
the weekly code enforcement report we get.
Right. But on there, the reason it was sent out under that is because I was sending the code enforcement report to the Public
Oh,
Works
yeah,
Department.
yeah.
So I had a very direct conversation with the Public Works today about the productivity of the custodians, productivity of the stormwater people. I told them I was not happy with it, and there's got to be some significant changes made. So you might hear a little bit of a complaint about that, but I'm at my wit's end with
Well,
that.
we hear more complaints from the public about stormwater.
Well, many of you were at Troy Kent's presentation yesterday, and the questions and answers came up. And I answered questions after his meeting for a half an hour in the chambers and 45 minutes on the front steps. And I was almost embarrassed when people asked, what have you done? We've done this, 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 and this. And I've been telling them this, 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 and this for the last year. And I can't, the county has done an exceptional job in clearing some of their ditches. We have done a terrible job. Or if we have done anything, I don't know if we've done anything. And now Joe and I met, I was like, listen, we got to get some accountability here. We need to know what they've done.
Right.
They've probably done a lot more than we know. We need to know what they've done and what the
Let's
plan.
hope they have.
And what the plan is in the future, because we hired a stormwater engineer 6 months ago. And what have we done that I can say we've done this and point them to it, because I
Has
don't-
that stormwater engineer came up with anything for us? Has he came up with any?
I don't know.
That hopefully we'll find out soon.
Is he working, he's working on something, a plan? of
Well, he's
some sort,
been,
or-
he's been working on issues out at the RV park, but I want him working on where we need to do roadside ditch improvements. I want him working on where we have infiltration in our system. That's what I want. I told him that I'm looking for an hourly report on their daily activities every day, and on Mondays, I get a report from them that I will forward to you. And if I have a question about a day, I should be able to go out there and say, give me the reports from last Wednesday, and I should get pages of a report of the hourly work that was done.
Do we have any kind of elevated maps of where ditches used to be?
We never had a true, you go to Palm Coast, and Palm Coast has a swale system.
We used to have some of those, we had a lot more, we have a lot
They've
more
been-
we have
they've
now.
been silted in.
Sure.
They've
Yeah,
been silted
I
in
get
over
it.
time.
They're underneath driveways.
So what I
Level
told
of the
them
road.
is, we had budgeted money to work with the county, for the county to come in here and do our roadside ditches. I want them starting on Flomish, working with the county to come in and clean the roadside ditches and go from Flomish to Walker, to 10th Street to 8th Street. It's going to take years.
Flow
We gotta
is a
start
perfect instance. We got a big deep one on one side
Yeah.
from a little stretch there, and cause that used to go all the way through when I was a kid.
Yeah, a lot of them
All the way
have
to
been
Nova.
lost with over.
Now,
And
what I'm gonna tell you,
all these little cross canals connected.
what I'm gonna tell you, when we do this, and they come in with a grate all, and they scrape somebody's
Oh, yeah.
yard, these people are not gonna be happy.
Yeah.
But we're gonna put a 3-foot wide, 1.5-inch deep gully in the front of their
Well,
yard.
the people that are flooding, Joe,
And
aren't
they are,
happy.
they're not gonna be happy.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
Just be prepared.
we're trying to make improvements.
Yep.
You can't make if I learned anything in this
You
position,
can't make anybody
you
happy.
can't make the majority of
Hey,
people
Joe,
happy.
you can't just go do that without having some sort of elevation of a map of ditch lines. I mean, we're not like, you can't just go doing that stuff, right?
We can do whatever we want in the right of way.
FYI,
we
the
have-
TPO meeting is tomorrow. It moves up a week this month.
See if they mention anything, or if you have the opportunity to mention anything about LPGA.
Yeah, I'll push LPGA as hard as I can, as long as I know what I can get away with.
So then our engineer could create a pattern for us to remove water then on ditch lines along roads. On the
Right.
wet
And
areas.
maybe add some that were never there before.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're all good. You're all good.
We gotta start
till next
somewhere.
year, right?
Now, in Palm
I'm sorry.
Coast, Palm
You're all
Coast
good till
has
next year, right?
a stormwater
I think
fee,
so.
but they also have a swell.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't want to go that
They got a fee for your swell.
Yeah, they have a stormwater fee, and then they have a swell
You
maintenance
sent
fee.
me
I
something.
mean,
And if you have to go a swell maintenance fee,
Didn't
then
you send me something about
it just
that?
goes on the
Well,
water bill,
we
right?
discussed it, remember, it was going to be close to another thing that was going to.
That's what it was, yeah, it will be.
All right.
Non-
Go ahead and
Purposes.
adjourn our meeting, Val, so you can stop the recording.
We can get enough.
Okay.
And I ask you another question.
Is the meeting over?
Do you know approximately how far it is from the northeast corner?
We're gonna have to pay.
Oh.